All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this week we have been talking about solving and graphing inequalities. So I want to go over a little bit more instruction than what you received on Tuesday and Thursday to help you get working on your remote days. Okay, so we gave you this assignment before you left school, and we're going to go through 2, 3, maybe 4 problems to get you going on your own. Okay, so let's just start with number 1 as an easy one to start with. Remember, when we're solving for a variable, even when we're doing inequalities, it's the exact same thing as algebraic equations. Okay, so we want to do everything that is not with the variable. So I'm still going to put my line to make sure I keep everything balanced. So what's not with my variable? -4. So I want to undo -4. So the inverse of -4, I'm going to add 4. And remember, if I do it onto the left side, I'm also going to do it onto the right. All right, so -4 plus 4 equals 0. They are now gone. I'm left with 6x. I'm still going to bring my inequality down. Don't put an equal sign anymore. Inequality of less than. And then -10 plus 6, so I got a negative and a positive, so I ultimately subtract and keep negative as my answer. So I have -6. All right, so now I have 6 times x is less than -6. So to undo my multiplication here, I'm going to divide by 6. Now when I divide by 6, 6 divided by 6 gives me that 1x, so now x is all by its lonesome. I keep my less than sign. Okay, and then -6 divided by 6 gives me a -1. So our solution is that x, or all values of x, must be less than the number -1. All right, so that means anything less than -1 makes this inequality true. So -8, -1.5, -2,500. Those are all going to make this inequality true, so we want to graph it. So because it's just less than -1, we don't want to include -1. So we're going to use a open dot to represent that. And we're saying it has to be less than -1, so our values that are less than -1 are over here to the left. So I'm going to fill in my number line, and then I'm going to fill in my arrow because I want it to show that it continues on indefinitely. All right. Pretty simple. All right, so now let's look at an example where we have a negative involved in our either multiplication or division. So if we look, number 4 is the one we're going to do. So I put my balance line, I should say, and the first thing I want to get rid of here is that plus 16. It's not happening to the variable, so I want to get rid of that first, undo it. So plus 16, the opposite would mean that I am going to subtract 16. Now 16 minus 16 is 0, so they are now canceled, they are gone, eliminated. I go to the left-hand side and I subtract 16. All right, I am left with -2x is greater than or equal to 8 minus 16. So 8 minus 16 is really saying 8 plus -16. So I would subtract them. I get 8. -16 is farther from 0, so I get -8. Now again, at this point, you guys can use calculators to help you, but don't forget these rules because they're not going away and we still need to know how to do them. So I get -8 is less than or equal to -2x. All right, so -2x really means -2 times x. So undoing, or the inverse of -2 times x, means I'm going to have to divide on both sides. All right, so here I'm going to divide by a -2. All right, that negative tells me what's going to happen. I'm going to have to flip my inequality. So it goes from being a less than sign to a greater than sign. Okay, because whatever I'm doing here is going to change whether it is a positive or negative on the left-hand side. All right, so -8 divided by -2, I end up with a +4. And I should have wrote this inequality a little bit further down. So I'm going to write it again. So 4 is greater than or equal to, negative 2 divided by negative 2 gives me that positive 1x. So I have 4 is greater than or equal to x. Now at this point, if it makes you feel better to understand it, you're going to put x, and we're going to make sure our inequality sign stays true. So x is going to be less than, because the smaller side is pointing towards it, or greater, or sorry, I should say less than or equal to 4. All right, so less than or equal to 4. So that means my answer or my solution to put in for x could be 4. It could be 3.9 repeating. It could be negative 2. It has to be less or equal to 4. So in this case, we want to use a closed dot because we want to include the number 4. It has to be less, so that means I'm going to color in my number line all to the left because those are all the values that will be less than 4. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do number 5. Okay, get one of those division problems in there. All right, so if we look at negative 9 is less than x divided by 5 minus 2. The first thing that I want to get rid of or undo is that minus 2. So the opposite of minus 2 would be add 2. And that eliminates that situation there. Go to the other side and I'm going to add 2. I am left with x divided by 5. And my sign here is going to be my less than sign. Negative 9 plus 2, my signs are different. So I subtract, I get 7, and it's a negative 7 because negative 9 is farther from 0. All right, now I have x divided by 5. So to undo, or the inverse of divide by 5, would mean that I am going to multiply by 5. Remember, when I multiply straight across, I end up with 5 over 5, which gives me 1x. So my x is now all isolated. My sign stays the same because I did not multiply or divide by a negative. I go to the left-hand side and multiply by 5. I am now left with 5 times negative 7. 5 times negative 7 gives me a negative 35. So my solution set for this problem would be negative 35 is less than x. Okay. Now, I want to say that it is less than x, so let's go ahead and rewrite it. Okay, if I do that, I want the open end of my inequality towards x. So we're going to end up saying x is greater than negative 35. So my x, or the values of x, are going to be greater than negative 5, so that means anything bigger than negative 35 will be my solution to this. So it could be negative 34.5. It could be 0. It could be 20. Okay, anything now that is bigger than negative 35 or to the right of this number is going to be my solution. So because it is a greater than sign, I'm only going to use an open dot. So we're going up by 5s on this number line. So my negative 35 is right here, my open dot. And then I color in my number line to the right because all of those values are greater than negative 35. Okay, so that gives you a start here, and you have just 5 problems to complete for your assignment. All right, good luck, guys.